Welcome to Adventures in Surgical Weight Loss with Dr. R. I'm Dr. Richard Rasmussen. I'm a bariatric surgeon and excited to bring you another story from a surgical weight loss patient. My goal is to give patients a place where they can share their amazing stories. I get to hear these stories all the time. I hope through this process to get rid of some of the bad information that exists about surgical weight loss. Today you get to meet Martha Moreno Salas. Martha has an incredible story. She has had a lot of health issues in her fairly young life, and it's very inspiring to listen how she has overcome those. So I hope you enjoy her story. All right, today I have the privilege of sitting down with Martha Moreno Salas. Martha, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, why don't you tell us your story?
Yeah, so my story is I moved to the United States when I was 10 years old. Well, just turned 9 actually. And I battled a long time with issues with hormones and consistently gained weight throughout my teen years. I then was okay for a while. I had been diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome at about 14 or 15. That was painful to deal with. The weight gain was still consistently going up. When I was 26 years old, I began to lose my vision. I could not see past 2 to 3 feet. It was just bad. At the time I worked in the operating room, and I asked one of the neurosurgeons to look at recent scans, and he told me that he needed to get in to do a shunt, because the pressure in my brain was way too high. And, he could see that my optic nerve was struggling. So I had that done, and that kind of took a series of unfortunate events. I ended up having 18 shunt revisions. And ultimately, the only thing that made the shunt stay in place was for me to lose weight. That still wasn't enough wake up call for me. I just kind of was living life. I was like, we'll figure it out. It'll stick one day. And then in 2021, my mother went into renal failure. And she developed respiratory distress syndrome from that. And I watched her pass away on September 8th. That was my wake-up call. I could see my family in the room, and I knew that I could not do this to them again. So I got my butt in gear. I got my depression under control. I spoke to all my specialists. I came back to your office, spoke to Cindy, and said I really need to get a plan in place so that I can get to be approved for surgery, because at that point my BMI was too high still for surgery. So with the help of the dietitians and the people at your office, I was able to lose enough weight and get my BMI to an acceptable place to have the gastric sleeve done. And that was done January 27th of this year. And I'm so happy. It hasn't been easy. It's not the easy way out that people say, but I still do not regret it. Not one bit of it. The decision was made with reasons behind it, and the reason was that I needed to be happy and alive to take care of those I love most. My sister is a disabled adult. My partner is in a wheelchair. I needed to have the strength physically, mentally, emotionally to get through whatever challenges as a caretaker I would face. And I'm seeing such great results from being able to walk long distances, being able to, I recently went to see Hamilton with my friends, and walking up and down those theater stairs they were surprised that I could just go up and down, that we didn't have to wait hours for the elevator, and everybody was just like floored. Like, just a few years ago when I had spinal surgery because of an issue with my shunting, I couldn't move. I was bedbound for about 4 months, and it was really hard, and they could see that that was difficult. So to see the contrast in just a few years to now, it was great. And it's all those victories. Yeah, the scale is nice and it's important. It has its place, but my ability to experience life how I want to experience it has been the greatest payoff. Even so, after just I've lost 117 pounds, about 40 of those after surgery, but um, I'm happy and I don't regret it, and I do it again.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to point out that you lost, a significant chunk of that weight before surgery. So, kudos to you and the changes you were making, the lifestyle changes. Do you feel that helped set you up for success going through surgery and after surgery?
Oh, most definitely. Recovery was much easier than all of the other surgeries I had. It was a piece of cake compared because of the weight loss. I could be more mobile. I could get up and walk. I could prevent blood clots without, having those little things on your legs all day. Like I could move around, and the changes that I brought forth because I'm the one that cooks at home. My brother has lost 120 pounds. Okay.
Wow.
My dad has lost 80 pounds. And you see my dad at work.
Yep.
My little sister is on her way too. Just making healthier choices, walking, just living our life with a little bit of added structure. And, I've taught them what I've learned through your office and through dietitians, and, they're all very happy. It's been a change all around in our home, and it was much needed.
Wow, that's fantastic. You bring up a great point that when a primary figure in the home, yourself, fixing the meals, makes lifestyle changes, it impacts the whole family. So if, just doing the math in my head, your brother 120, your dad 80, there's 200 pounds, plus your 117, there's 317 pounds that have come off because of the changes you've initiated and you've been making. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And it's not even a question now. I can send my dad to get groceries with my little sister and they'll stick to the list that I give them. And that used to not be it. So it's just been really nice. Mentally also, I don't have to worry, about getting this and going here, and I couldn't do it. I wasn't okay, with my issues with my headaches and my vision loss and all of that. I was on disability for 6 years, and 3 weeks ago I went back to work full time in the operating room. So
wow, congratulations.
Great. Yeah. When I was told at the University of Utah, I was told 3 times this year that I would never work again, that it had caused all these shunting issues, had caused dementia in me, and I couldn't accept it because I knew what my end goal was. So I worked really hard with therapists, and just, 3 short months later, I'm back to work. So I'm very happy. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Congratulations. Wow. That's amazing.
You, Doctor. Yeah.
That is awesome.
I schedule your surgeries now. So it's nice.
I appreciate that. You mentioned, some of these significant health challenges you've had, and talked about kind of getting a wake up call with the passing of your mom and hey, I need to make some changes. In that whole process, what would you say was the hardest thing to do?
the hardest thing to do was to stay consistent, because once you face something that's so challenging, you just are like, it's nothing is of importance as what you face. The loss of my mother, the 18 brain surgeries, the spinal surgery, the hysterectomy, everything, like it just was one thing after another. And during that time, you can lose sight of all of that, and staying consistent wasn't about, it's convenient or I'm going to make this easier, whatever. No, it was the end goal, and it was the little changes I made everything else easier. There was a point in my life where I could not get up and brush my teeth for 2 minutes. So that became my goal. And it was hard. I could just sit and have someone help me with a cup and that, or I could get up and see if tomorrow it's a little easier. And just staying consistent is difficult, but having sight of your reasons is, just super important. And always start with yourself. I had to be able to get over the depression I was feeling, situational or not, whatever it was. I had to get over it, and I had to get through it. And, that was reaching out. You can't do this alone. There are professionals out there who know this, who studied this. I had a wonderful psychiatrist who helped me, a therapist, dietitians, your PAs, everybody. It was just staying consistent. I told myself every day, if I can do 3 things today that are meaningful for my future, then I'm good. And at one point, it was just the brushing of teeth and getting myself cleaned up. And then it became, okay, I can fix the meal today for lunch. I can't do all 3, but I'll do lunch for everybody. Then I started adding on a little bit. So you have to break things down because you want to stay consistent, and the things will give you results eventually.
Wow. So I heard some significant, some key points in there. Number one, it sounds like having a goal. What's the end goal? What am I trying to achieve with all of this? Number 2 was be consistent even with small changes. Just daily small changes will get you there. And then third sounded like, surround yourself with experts, with people who can help you out, with people who can teach you and guide you and help you through the process.
Yeah. And it's discouraging just because of the nature of our healthcare system, that it's not so accessible to everybody. And I understand that. I came from the point that I left a position in eligibility, and I worked with hospitals and nurses and programs and things like that. And I can assure you there is some way around the cost of all of this. There is resources out there. There are a lot of free, courses through Harvard, through UCLA, things like that are nutrition-based courses that I was able to find. And in my time where I was bedridden, that was what I would consume to just gain the knowledge and slowly make the changes. So there is a way through the challenges that we face as, we live in this economy and everything. So don't close yourself off. And then also, if you fall off one day, it doesn't mean that, oh, I'm just gonna give up. No, the beauty of it is, oh my gosh, I had 5 really good days where I stuck to it, and I had 1 really bad day. Just chuck that one and keep the 5 and keep your momentum going, because I had many of those moments where I was like, forget this is too hard, and again, having the vision at the end and wanting better for myself, for my family, it just kept me going.
No, that's a great point. Yeah. It's, nobody does it perfectly, right? And so, yeah, we can't let the bad days, bring us down or take us off track. That's an excellent point.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, oh, what are you going to do next time differently when you're faced with that decision, or I was training so much in the last few weeks going back to work, and there's accessibility to all food is good, but this majority of really processed things, and it's there and it's free and you can get it. And I was like, no, I have, my cheese slices and my meats and my veggies and things like that in my bag, just reach in, had it accessible to me. I hang it on a little hook right by where I sit. And just those little changes really do make a difference.
Yeah, I love that. And obviously that takes some planning. And you did that and you anticipated, I'm going to need this, and having it prepared in your bag, having the bag close to you. I mean, those are great tools, because, I agree, in our current environment, food is everywhere, and foodstuffs. I mean, we'll call some of the processed stuff foodstuffs, but it's available and easily accessible. And a lot of times, the employer's offering it for free, and it's on the table and whatever. And so, yes, we have to make effort to make those conscious choices and prepare ways for ourselves to be successful. That's fantastic.
Yes. My mother always taught me that it is better to be prepared and to make decisions prior to when you're in the decision making. Like, just be already prepared. Know what you would say if something came up and know what you would do. And I have my little pink bag, by, my desk, anywhere I can reach in there and grab something nutritious and that will get me going for the rest of the day. So.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier one of the non-scale victories of being able to go up the stairs at the theater and not be winded. What are some other non-scale victories you've seen?
Yes. I don't sweat as much as I used to, and as a trained makeup artist, that is huge. So that's huge for me. Like, I'm not sweating my tail off every day. I'm able to keep the hairstyles that I choose because I'm not sweating, from the pain of having that strain on the joints. Like, it would just make me, super uncomfortable, and that's gone away. That's huge. Another thing is that I had a lot of esophageal issues, and I would get coughing fits from the acid reflux and things like that. Those went away. I have acid reflux now, but it's being treated. I'm getting there. But this other type of reflux was making me cough. So I would turn even purple when I was coughing. I couldn't catch a breath. And that went away within 2 weeks. Another thing is I have put my diabetes in full remission. I do not take anything for diabetes right now, and my doctor's fine with that. I used to be Lantus and Nova and all these injecting myself. I have so many of those needles that I haven't been able to use, or I don't use, and that happened within 2 weeks. I was not needing insulin anymore. If I did use it, it was dropping my sugars. So my doctor said, no, just lay off of it and we'll reevaluate. I went to get my physical. So that's another thing. Diabetes in remission, already. I have no more blood pressure medication that I need to take. My cholesterol is lower than it's been in my whole adult life. So all of that, the cost of all those medications was putting me over and on disability. That was stressful every month. And now I don't worry about that. Like, my medications is an antidepressant and omeprazole, that's it. And the other things are just supplements that we need to take that are super affordable now. I did a lot of research, found capsules instead of liquid that was making me like gag and make me sick, that are bariatric approved, and, just the cost, the diabetes, the other comorbidities, like, it's just been great. And my dad has also put his diabetes in remission before surgery.
Wow.
So he's still planning on surgery, because he sees how successful I've been at it. And he's like, oh, yeah, I want that.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, you've made lots of changes for you and your family. That's fantastic.
I love them and I like to show it more than, just say it or anything. So that's how I take care of my people. Sometimes it's tough love, but, you know, it gets us to where we are all, and we're all very happy and getting healthier.
That's great. What would you say? Give me like your top 2 or 3 things that for you help you continue to be successful. And I guess what I'm looking for are habits, daily habits that you've developed that help you be successful.
I get up and the very first thing I do is grab my water and drink some water. That has been huge. I didn't realize how dehydrated I was before. Sometimes my hunger noise was actually just thirst. And I realize that now. So the habit of having my ice cold water when I wake up in my cup every day, that's huge. That's one huge thing. I have, like I said, meal planning. I used to, I'm Mexican, so we don't measure anything. We just kind of throw stuff together and it magically works. Well, there's a reason why there's recipes. There's a reason why there's structure, and you can still enjoy that and tweak things, but still stay in goal. So just meal planning has been helpful, and it doesn't have to be this huge thing. It's, today I'm going to make low carb enchiladas, and tomorrow I'm going to make, a roast of some sort and keep it low carb with the veggies. Like, it's just, meal planning has been really helpful. And then therapy has been really helpful, because this is about the mind and changing your habits. And that's difficult when, I'm 35 years old, but I've lived so many experiences that have affected me, traumas, things like that. And those things can be expressed correctly or they can harm you, and so I have gone to therapies for probably a year and a half now consistently, and that's been very helpful. And as far as habits, it's just also having snacks available that are high in protein, low in carb. There's a lot of information out there now. A lot of videos on YouTube and things that will teach you. The other day I learned how to make cauliflower bread, like instead of, just regular bread. And it tastes like a tortilla, and for us culturally, that's huge. And I've been able to substitute some things like that. So little changes make the biggest difference.
Wow, that's fantastic. And that's, that just speaking of that one change right there, going from a flour or grain to a vegetable, the difference that makes in your body and your insulin response and what it does to your blood sugar. I mean, that's huge. And I love how you've looked for that way to, maintain your culture, but do it in a way that's healthier. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. My family has been on a birria kick, which is like a roast that's made with chilies and things like that. And the biggest and the best way you can have it is in a corn tortilla and fried on, your pan. Well, I found out that I can make, tortillas from grated cheese and like things like that. And I would make it and my dad's like, this is so good. Like the added cheese flavor is even better. And they prefer that now, So sometimes they're misses, there's been like, ugh, but that doesn't discourage me because I know it's interesting. It's fun. It keeps it interesting. And it's your outlook on things, Yeah, that was a failure, but it's okay. I've had these 10 successes with changes. So yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
You hinted at this a little bit, but how have the neurologic aspects improved?
Yes. So my shunts were being replaced every 3 to 6 months. And, I read a study through Harvard that said that women carry a higher pressure in their bellies, their abdomen, and especially when you are obese. And that's what was pushing out the shunt and making it go into the skin folds and all this stuff. And when I did the changes and I lost like 70 pounds, the pressure in my abdomen went down. The shunt has been retained. This is the first shunt that has stayed for more than 8 months, and it's actually been 2 years. Neurologically, I had developed hydrocephalus runs in my family, so it's too much fluid in the brain, and I had developed the kind that is attached to hormones, and it's called intracranial hypertension, and it affects people of all sizes, but majority people of that are in the obese category. And when I dropped down to a healthier weight, my vision stabilized. I no longer have too much CSF in my brain and all that in the ventricles. So my vision stabilized. My thinking was more put together, and I was able to actually process things, and just cognitively I've been more clear about any challenge or any decision that I need to make. It's been so amazing to have a clear mind and not be bogged down by the pains that I was feeling, by the depression that I was in, by, just the high blood pressure that was making my headaches even worse than they were before. So yeah, the weight loss has been so helpful for all of that.
Wow, that's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you, doctor.
As we wrap up here, anything else you want us to know about you or about your story?
That I'm no one special. I'm just here living this life like any other human, and that this is doable for absolutely anybody. I had started the process of weight loss surgery 3 times before, back even when Jenny was working with you, and I was scared. And now I'm just like, why didn't I do this sooner? Don't stop your life. Just keep going and make yourself a priority. Love yourself a little bit for right now and get through that whole process, which is, it's difficult, because the outcome is just like, oh, my head is just super clear and I'm happy, and yeah, it just goes up from here, It's worth it, and anybody can do it. My goal was to brush my teeth for 2 minutes, and now I'm back to work. I can go out with friends. I can travel. I'm a raramuri, which are the running people of Mexico. I used to run up until I was 200 pounds. I'm hoping to get to that point, because it's in my blood. And, yeah, I know I'll get there again. Yep.
Wow, that's fantastic.
I'm excited.
What an inspiring story. Thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Of course. Thank you so much, doctor.
Thanks again to Martha Moreno Salas for sharing her story with us. How amazing to go from bedridden and not even being able to brush her teeth to now back working full time. What an amazing story.
Please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. It will help us reach more people with these amazing stories. I also have a YouTube channel where you can see this video, as well as several other videos about surgical weight loss, general surgery, and robotic surgery. Join us next time for another amazing story.